Alright guys, so today we got our first official gameplay for MXGP 24. We're going to jump into it here in just a second. It is a decent amount. It would be the pre-order trailer. It was kind of weird because you can't really find it anywhere. It was just on the Nakon YouTube channel, I believe, so kind of hidden. And it does show first person, third person, and I believe some goggle cam. So again, we'll jump into it in a bit. I actually did have a different MXGP 24 video planned, but this trailer just dropped, so that's what we're going to go over today. And it's kind of weird. I have a weird feeling towards MXGP 24, as I've seen a lot of you guys kind of share that same feeling that you're a bit worried about it. I mean, we had concerns, but this is getting to the point, because it's really close to releasing, that there's some big worries, some really big red flags that we probably need to go over as well. So here it is, gonna let you watch it, listen to it, and then we'll come back and go over it after it finishes. Okay, so there you go. That would be the official gameplay from KT Racing, the studio behind the game, and it's very worrisome. I'm extremely worried. I'm not just concerned, I'm very worried for the game. So the biggest problems, we have a few red flags, right? We kind of knew about some of it, but this kind of confirms it. So you would have to assume, I know there was early gameplay going around from Motocross of Nations, but you would have to assume that this build, this gameplay they're showing, is probably more current than what was from the Motocross of Nations, and it still is extremely rough around the edges, so the physics don't look very good. They just don't. I mean, first person looks okay, goggle cam okay, but not great. Third person, just not good, okay? Not good. The physics, it has that... Third person has that dynamic camera, which I'm not a huge fan of, where it's kind of shaking around and whatnot. In first person maybe, but in third person I'm not a big fan of it, but that isn't the biggest concern to me. The biggest concern is that the physics just appear weird. The bike, sometimes it would hit like a bump or whatever, a roller, and the physics appeared that the bike was just very light and would float kind of in a weird way. The cornering and the ground physics in general. The cornering, if you saw that early gameplay from Motocross of Nations, that gameplay was really worrisome. It appears that the bike doesn't turn very good. I mean, it's a dirt bike. You should be able to turn it on a dime. The cornering looks really, really bad. It appears very slow and just heavy, and then very slidey, if you would. I mean, the bike kind of slides around. I mean, this gameplay was a bit better because they were trying to do the best they could, and we don't know if the person that was playing isn't the best, or if the gameplay is just that rough, because it also appears very slow. The gameplay looks very, very slow compared to what we're used to. I mean, it doesn't have to be like MX versus ATV fast, but it looks really slow, and they still didn't show whip. That was another big red flag from early on, that they said that they're going to have whips in the game when it releases, but they don't have them yet. Are we talking about canned whips here? Are we talking about mud, a push button whip? Are we talking about push the sticks together, pull them apart? I mean, are we not getting free whips? The way the game appears, I'm kind of not going to be surprised if we have a very canned whip, or if we don't even have whips when it comes out. Maybe we don't get the whips until, you know, an update. Maybe they have to update the whips into the game after it releases. So there's a lot of red flags here, man. I'm really concerned. I mean, I want to maintain... It's weird because this is something I wanted to talk about before this trailer dropped. I did want to go over the don't buy the game scenario. So a lot of times in motocross games, we get games that aren't as good as we want them to be or hope they would be, and so you hear this pushed around fairly often. You get it from both sides, and it kind of feels like it can be a lose-lose situation no matter how you go about it. So you have the side that says, buy the game, support it, we want motocross games to be happening, maybe the devs will keep working on it, it will get better, you know, just buy it to support it. But a lot of times, if you do that, the game doesn't get better, it doesn't get supported, and then you have the same junk for the next 4 years, because we get the same game from KT Racing for 4 more years after this one. So 4 more versions of MXGP. So a lot of times it doesn't work out great. But then you have the side that says, don't buy the game, you're part of the problem. If it's bad, don't buy it. Show them that we aren't willing to buy a game if it isn't good. And while I fully understand that side of the argument as well, a lot of times you'll just get a reuse of the same game over and over and over again, because if the sales aren't good, they're not going to put development into the game, or maybe they'll just stop. Maybe MXGP revokes the licensing behind this game. I mean, based off of what I saw, I wouldn't be surprised. You know, I've seen IPs get pulled from video game studios several times, so it just feels like it's a lose-lose situation. If you don't buy it or if you do buy it, whether you want to support it or tell them, I'm not going to buy this game if it isn't good, it just doesn't have a good outcome either way, which is why it's a tough situation to be in and why it sucks that we get these types of games more often than we should be getting them. I know it's not a big genre. People are going to say they don't have, you know, Fortnite, Call of Duty, Apex Legends, you know, type of money to throw around on them. And you're right. But I really did think, and I know I haven't played a KT Racing studio game before, but I really thought with a studio that specializes in motorsports, whether it's cars or superbikes or whatever, I really thought maybe they could do something decent with this game. And while I really do feel like they didn't have a bunch of time to put this together, from when it was announced that KT Racing would be taking over the MXGP series to when it's going to release, it sounds like maybe November 28th, there really wasn't that much time to develop a full game. They've never done a dirt bike game as far as I know. I know they have their own game engine, so they should be pretty familiar with it, but just to jump into it and push out a game in that short period of time, I'm really not surprised that it isn't great, but I really did expect more from a studio that specializes in motorsports. So I don't know, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. I have seen some of your guys' comments. I've responded to some of them, but not everybody. And you know, what side of the fence do you sit on? Buy it to support it, hopefully it gets better, and support moto games in general, knowing what might happen, or don't buy it. You know, don't buy it. Show them that you're not willing to buy any junk that they push out, and see what happens. I mean, it's a tough situation to be in. I don't think it's really sucky that some of these studios put us in this position. And I'm, you know, ever since I was young, I've been a huge fan of motocross games, supercross games in general. I've been playing them since the Nintendo 64. So big fan of them, and it's just so disappointing to see stuff like this. But you know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the game will be great. Maybe any worries I have aren't a big deal, and KT Racing will find a way to pull through this and do well, or maybe they'll make the next game even better. Maybe this is just a lack of time and they had a strike and their first go at it. But I mean, that's very wishful and optimistic thinking about the game, and I want to remain that way. I do want to try to stay positive. I am not the type of person to just be super negative and just hate on something all the time. I've never been that way. I know some of you guys want me to be that way, but it's never going to happen. But I do have concerns, and this does very much worry me. So, again, let me know in the comments what you guys think, because in reality, your guys' opinions are really the only ones that matter, because you're the bulk of the community, right? I'm just one person, and I'd be really curious to see how you feel about it. So, you guys and girls are absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for the support on the channel lately. It really does mean a lot. And until the next video, take it easy.